has been the benchmark in Australasian Supersports, having led the championship since it began back in March.
Braden, look at that. Elliott on the inside, making sure he covers all his laps. It looks like it's going to be Elliott. Only just, or will he get it? No, he won't. It looks like Elliott ahead of Spriggs.
But as the season is nearing its end, Braden Elliott is feeling the heat.
Blackwell off the ground momentarily on board the Kawasaki. That's the machine. Braden Elliott, where did he come from there? Callum Spriggs has gone from first back to third, into even fourth, maybe even fifth position.
Will the young Tumut rider maintain his cool, or will the opposition upstage him with 2 rounds remaining? Welcome to the penultimate round of the YRD Australasian Supersport Championship from Winton Motor Raceway.
The YRD Supersport Championship has been sensational throughout the Australasian Superbike Championship of 2015, and today should be no different. We're at Winton Motor Raceway. Welcome to round 6 of 7, and Phil Harlem, there's been plenty of action both on and off the track with the Supersports.
We've seen so many different race winners, Lance. We've seen so many brands taking race wins in the 2015 championship. It's been absolutely sensational. We thought at the end of last year that the Supersport class may have been dying, but this year it has come back and it's back to its brilliant best. As you can see, 6 points is the championship buffer at the moment that Braden Elliott has over his season-long pursuers, Callum Spriggs and also Michael Blair. He'll be looking to bounce back this weekend and take a good haul of points to put him up into position to challenge for that championship at the final round.
Well, there's a 2-times champion, Rick Olsen, making a comeback this season, and as we mentioned earlier, plenty of action's been happening. Let's hear from the key contenders.
Having led the YRD Australasian Supersport Championship since the beginning of the season in March, Braden Elliott has had to fight extremely hard to maintain his competitive form throughout the season. With only a slender 6-point margin to Callum Spriggs, Elliott heads into the Winton round hopeful of a strong showing, as well as a major improvement on his on-track performance at the Benalla venue 12 months ago.
Look, last year when we were racing here at Winton, I think I was probably a completely different rider back then. I was really still in a huge learning stage of road racing, and still definitely developing as a rider. And my goal back then was to try and aim for a top 10. So we've certainly come away a lot from there. And I've been able to do a lot of testing up to this round, and Winton's like a home track for me. So yeah, I've been looking forward to this round. The Hankook tyres Suzuki has some great mid-range power, which a circuit like Winton suits. So hopefully we can take advantage of that and come away with some good points from this round. And just give it my 100% effort, and I think that's all we can ask.
The final race of round 5 of the Australasian Supersport Championship was a breakthrough moment for Queenslander Kyle Buckley. Having graduated from the Kawasaki Ninja Cup last season, Buckley's transition to the Supersport class with SA Kawasaki BC Performance has been a rocky road until now. His win at Wakefield Park made him the 5th different winner of the season, and with a new mechanic on board, the momentum is starting to swing in his favour.
No, we didn't get off to a great start this year. I had a couple of DNFs and a few crashes, but we've come on pretty strong since Queensland. I've got a new mechanic, Vaughan Cumming. He's all over it. So I think things are going really well. He's got the bike set up awesome. So I think if we can get a good couple of finishes in the last half of the year, then we'll be sorted.
Hunter Valley-based Brad Swallow is one of the busiest riders contesting the Australasian Superbike Championship Series. Swallow has been a consistent top 10 competitor in the Australasian Supersport Championship this season and has since added the Racetech Formula Oz category into his race schedule. Despite gaining valuable track time, Swallow has been involved in his fair share of misfortunes in both classes, and the repair work on his fairings has kept the Novocastrian busy in between rounds.
It's been a bit of an effort, getting the 600 down here, like we've had 7 sets of fairings for repairing, and it's sort of been a thing that we've left to last minute because we've been delaying, just buying new fairings and everything, and we've finally had to bite the bullet and repair all the fairings. And I tell you what, it's been a mission for the 2-speed Kawasaki team to get all those fairings repaired and get us here trackside at Winton. So yeah, look, the fairings have done more Ks than the wheels, you'd like to say, but it does take a toll on the body. You do come back on Monday, dreading going to work because you got a couple bruises, carrying a bit of a limp, but you got to bite the bullet, and it's a part of racing, and stand up tall and swing your leg over it again.
Well, that certainly provides us with a little bit of insight as to what's been happening in the YRD Supersport category this year, and it's certainly going to get hotter as the day goes on here at Winton Motor Raceway. 3 races are due to be contested, 9 laps each around this rather challenging circuit for a 600 Supersport bike.
3 kilometres of challenging, in fact, the Winton Motor Raceway circuit. Let's jump on board now with Justin DiGiandomenico. We won't get near Crew Halliday's lap record of a 1:24.7. That was set on slick tyres back in 2013, but the Stafford Motorcycles Yamaha R6 certainly knows its way around this circuit as we stream down the Swann Insurance start-finish straight. We're a fistful of revs, bouncing off the rev limiter in top gear as we go down a couple of gears and into the very fast left-hander, right-hand combination that starts off a lap at Winton.
The drive out of this second corner up over the top of the Berwick Leathers top straight. The old start-finish straight here at Winton Motor Raceway. A challenging, slightly off-camber corner, DID change turn number 3. Drive down the hill into turn 4, Bell Helmets. Being very careful you don't lose the front end.
Yeah, be very, very hard on the accelerator now as you come all the way down to the long left-handed sweeper. Take the right line through here. Try and avoid as many of the bumps as you can. Need to get your bike set up to ride the bumps and also be able to deal with the very late braking as you get on the back, the brakes hard and start the S's.
Yes, out of the Race Tech suspension sweeper and into the Kawasaki S's. A right-left-right combination, and it should suit the nimble nature of the 600 Supersports, but it's also very important to get drive out of this turn number 8 for the run down the Iphone back straight.
Yeah, carrying a lot of corner speed out onto the Iphone straight, and once again get deep on the brakes down into the start of the Dunlop straight that leads up towards the final 2 corners. Hard on the gas now, carrying as much corner speed as you can. Head down behind the screen, brake late as you can for the last corner, and then tip it right, then try and maintain drive between turn 11 and 12.
Very important section of the circuit because you must maintain the drive out of this 12th and final turn and for the run down the Swann Insurance main straight. And there you have it. 1 complete lap here. 3 kilometres, Winton Motor Raceway. Qualifying for the YRD Supersports is overall fastest laps on the Saturday racing, and Braden Elliott secured 3rd fastest with a cracking time on his Suzuki, the Hankook Tyres Suzuki.
Yeah, starting from 2nd place on the grid will be Kyle Buckley on board the SA Motorcycles BC Performance Machine. He has been on a good wave of form lately and be looking to challenge for race wins once again this weekend.
But it was all about the Yamaha YRD all-site concrete cutting hydro construction YMI Callum Spriggs from Queensland, who ends up with pole. All getting set now for the Australasian Supersport Championship, brought to you by YRD. It has been a very enthralling battle throughout 2015, Phil Harlem, and certainly it's going to go down to the wire.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's so many people that are really starting to come on song towards the end of the year. Kyle Buckley, this starts there on position number 2 on the grid. He's having a fantastic back half of the season. As we said, he'll start from 2nd, right behind Callum Spriggs, who's our pole man, Braden Elliott, Michael Blair on the front row of the grid. But Troy Gunther, what can you say about this young man from Queensland, Lance? Another circuit that he'd never seen before this weekend.
He's doing a fantastic job in basically his initiation year in the YRD Supersports. Red flag being held up high. Look for the lights and the top left-hand corner of the screen. They're on. Once they go off, we're underway with 9 laps. Race 1 of 3, and a great start from Braden Elliott on the Hankook Tyres Suzuki.
Well, he went into this championship round, the penultimate round, Lance, with a very slender championship lead over Callum Spriggs. He knows that he has to take as many points away this weekend as he can, and he leads the field up over the old start-finish line on the Berwick Leathers top straight for the first time. Callum Spriggs and Michael Blair right on his tail. Oh, and Patrick Lee having a big look up the inside on board the Moto Go Kawasaki.
Very cheeky up the inside of DID Chains, but it didn't pay off for him. He had to back off, and he is the last rider through Bell Helmet's corner. Our race leader in the meantime, though, heading through the fast, long left-hander, the Race Tech suspension sweeper that heads down into the Kawasaki S's. This is lap 1 of 9. Kyle Buckley doing a good job. Paul Young coming from right down the back of the field doing an excellent job to poke his nose up the inside of Brad Swallow.
This has been one of Paul Young's best weekends so far on the Supersport bike. He's back there in a pretty intense battle at the moment. That battle was actually led by Jay Precipio, the man that led a race yesterday and crashed on the last lap, which made his efforts to get through the rest of the day very, very difficult. But our man that's having a good time at the moment is our race leader, Braden Elliott. Kyle Buckley's up there, and a big wheelie from Kyle Buckley. That's going to hamper his drive as they go down the Dunlop straight on this first lap, the opening lap, and Callum Spriggs has made his intentions very clear early on as both him and his Yamaha YRD teammate Michael Blair, the two men that have been doing duty in the Asian Road Racing Championships, move into the lead in positions 1 and 2.
Down the Swann Insurance main straight, Callum Spriggs asserts his authority in no uncertain terms early on. As you mentioned, Michael Blair doing a fantastic job. Braden Elliott up into third place, Kyle Buckley into fourth, but the real mover and shaker is the man with a wealth of experience underneath those leathers and helmet, and that's Paul Young. He started in 8th. Here he is coming up the inside of the number 5 of Jay Precipio as he headed into DID change. Precipio comes back again and leads him out of Bell Helmets.
Well, Precipio showed his pace yesterday, Lance, where he led that, I think it was the second race in yesterday's 3-race program. Unfortunately crashed out on the penultimate lap, but he has really got some pace here this weekend. We're now back on board with Justin Di Giandomenico, the man that took us for the hot lap early on, as we see Brad Swallow dive up the inside on board his Kawasaki, the flip and flow machine. Well, there's plenty of flipping and flowing on the entry to the S's as riders take lots of, well, very creative lines.
Well, there's one man who's missing from the field this weekend. He's also Kawasaki mounted. The Kawasaki Connections number 20 of Rick Olsen, not able to make it down to Winton Motor Raceway this weekend, I should say, in his comeback year in the Supersports.
Yeah, hopes to be back for the final round at Sydney Motorsport Parkway. He'll be back on song. And remember, last time we were there, he took 3 races from 3 victories from 3 starts as we blast down the back straight now with Brad Swallow on the tap-out energy flip flow machine. Oh, who was that getting sideways in front of him? That's Jay Precipio, of course, the man from South Australia, knows all about braking late.
South Australia sideways, it all begins with S's, and look at this Swallow trying very hard. He's in the slipstream down the Swann Insurance main straight, and he maintains his momentum up the inside, 1 place further ahead.
Well, as we go back to a replay of the start, now you can see that launch from Braden Elliott. Well, we've been speaking about how Sean Giles, his mentor, Sean Giles always got great starts on board his Suzuki Superbike, and whatever he's been teaching Braden Elliott seems to work, Lance, as he fired down into turn 1 in the lead.
An excellent shot here of some of the riders in front doing a good job. A little bit of bustling and jostling going through, but everybody got cleanly through here. It's always a worry at Winton Motor Raceway. The end of the Swann Insurance main straight, that left-right combination certainly sorts them in out from the boys.
Well, there you can see that was Braden Elliott running a fraction wide, and the 2 Yamaha mounted men, Callum Spriggs and Michael Blair, slicing their way up the inside, and they're still in the lead and second place as we make our way around through the final sections of this circuit now on lap 3 of 9. We're a third of the way into this very entertaining first race for the YRD Supersport class.
On board with Braden Elliott, the Hankook Tyres Suzuki, currently in third place with a lot of pressure being put on behind him from the SA Motorcycles BC Performance Kawasaki mounted Kyle Buckley, who's been doing a fantastic job in his maiden year on a 600 Supersport.
He certainly has, after coming so close to winning the Ninja 300 Cup last year. Actually, Braden Elliott, Lance, has just set the fastest lap of the race on lap 3 of this 9-lap journey, and he's closed up now onto the back of Michael Blair, but he's bringing Kyle Buckley with him, the man that took his first victory at the last round at Wakefield Park.
This quartet of runners at the front of the pack have opened up a handy lead over the rest of the field, but there's still plenty of battles going on throughout this entire race as they head now through the left-hander, the Race Tech Suspensions corner, into the right-hander that leads down into the hard right-hander that starts the W shape of the Kawasaki S's.
Yeah, this is certainly a 4-bike battle now for the lead. Braden Elliott and Kyle Buckley have certainly closed right up onto the back of our leading duo, but look at the battles behind. There's a big group of riders. Oh, Blair up the inside. Callum Spriggs ran a fraction wide, and Michael Blair on 78 said, "Thank you very much, I'll go into the race lead." But look at Spriggs now, tries to come back as they work their way down towards the end of the iPhone straight and then blast out onto Dunlop.
Well, Braden Elliott is now right behind Callum Spriggs as he tries the same sort of opportunity. Will he be given that at the end of Dunlop? I don't think so. He's a little bit too far away, and I think Braden Elliott's a little bit more open to the opportunities at other areas of the circuit rather than there.
Well, he'll get his head down behind the screen of the Suzuki GSX R600 now. But look at the Yamaha YZ FR6s just blast away as they make their way out onto the Swann Insurance Straight. In fact, he needs to take some pretty good lines here, does Braden Elliott. Otherwise, he's going to have to play second fiddle to the man that's coming on very strong now, Kyle Buckley on board bike number 83. You can see the next riders, they're a fair way back in that pretty titanic struggle for 4th through to about 7th place as they make their way down now towards the long, fast left-handed sweeper that'll be coming up very soon. In fact, Brad Swallow, back in that next group, Lance, has just set the fastest lap of the race on lap number 4.
Doing a great job as Brad Swallow, not only riding in the Supersports but also in the Formula Oz category as part and parcel of this Swann Insurance Australasian Superbike Championship on the 1000cc Kawasaki. Oh, look at that. Elliott's gone a little bit wide. Buckley sniffs the opportunity. He needed no second chances there and swoops up into third place.
Yeah, he just ran a fraction wide, but Kyle Buckley had excellent drive on board the SA Motorcycles BC Performance machine and took full advantage of Braden Elliott's very small mistake. You can see Braden Elliott there try and make amends for that mistake as he gets back now into a position on the back end of Buckley's machine. But these two at the front are setting a cracking pace at the moment as they make their way through the end of Ipone. The very tricky corner, this one, Lance. You've got to get good drive, but we've seen so many people run wide on the exit of that corner there and hamper their drive by getting on the gravel.
Well, getting back to Brad Swallow and the tap-out entry as he tries hard at the end of Dunlop to get up the inside of the rider in front of him. He was on the 1000cc in the Formula Oz category, and he'll be looking forward to joining the Superbikes in 2016.
Yeah, well, the man that is in front of him now can learn a fair bit from because he's ridden everything on the planet. Paul Young. Oh, Paul Young has just had to play second fiddle to the young man from Queensland. Speaking of young men from Queensland, this is the area where the man from Tumut ran wide and the man from Queensland went up the inside and just managed to get the Kawasaki ahead of the Suzuki as they started the S's.
Yeah, a good replay here of the action throughout. Goes a little bit wide, does Braden Elliott, and Kyle Buckley up the inside, round the outside through the left-hander and takes up the running of third placing.
Well, Kyle Buckley had a few machine issues yesterday, had a problem with the clutch, and in fact the whole team was there putting the clutch in. Even the team manager, Kelvin Riley, was there on the floor, and Ben Burke actually said to him, well, until you get it all back together, you could very well be an auto dismantler, not a mechanic.
Well, Kyle Buckley has brought along in that BC Performance SA Kawasaki team a new mechanic from New South Wales over the last couple of rounds, and he seems to be moulding into the team very well indeed.
Yeah, Vaughan from MSC Moto has done a great job with Kyle Buckley, made a couple of changes at the last round that got him that race win in the final race, but as they come down now to complete 6 laps of the 9-lap journey, we're on lap number 7. It is really a battling for at the moment. They've got a good lead over Brad Swallow, who's in 5th. Then it's Paul Young and Troy Gunther on board bike number 65, the fresh chef entry. Very impressed with this young man, one of the youngest men in the field, and well, Paul Young won't mind me saying it, one of the most experienced men in the field.
I'm glad you didn't use that O word for Paul. Anyway, back to the action with Paul Young as he heads up over the top of the Berwick Leathers top straight and down into DID chains, exiting now Bell Helmet's corner. He seems to have the upper hand over his contestant right behind him at this stage, though.
Well, you might think Troy Gunther's only 16 years old and hasn't been riding for that long. I think he rode his first motorcycle at 3 years old, Lance, so he's been riding for quite a while. In fact, most of his life. And look who's closing in from behind. It's Luke Mitchell on board bike number 6. He's had a couple of really good races, building up that confidence after a difficult start to the beginning of the year, and great to see him with his mechanic Marty Dowd getting really back on the pace and having a couple of good rounds at Wakefield Park and now here at Winton Motor Raceway.
A man with an immense amount of talent for the future is Luke Mitchell, and he's certainly drifting onto the back or grabbing onto the back of these two runners, and he'll learn a lot about racing here at Winton Motor Raceway following these two around.
Well, Paul Young's probably forgotten more about serious racing than what most people will ever remember, and he's really going to give these young fellas a real good schooling now as Luke Mitchell tries to have a bit of a look up the inside of Troy Gunther on 65, who made an immediate impact when he made his first appearance in the championship in 2015 at that first round at Sydney Motorsport Park. And that's where we head for the season finale. But before that, we've got 2 more races and 2 more laps in this first race of the penultimate round, Lance.
Yes, doing a great job. And this mid-race battle has certainly, or mid-pack battle, has been thrilling the crowd here at Winton Motorsport Park for at least half a dozen laps now. And Paul Young is showing all of that experience. He's drawing on all of that experience to keep away these 2 key young riders behind him.
Yeah, Michael Blair still leads from Callum Spriggs at the front of the race, and still in 3rd place is Kyle Buckley on that SA Motorcycles BC Performance machine. Braden Elliott on board the Hankook tyres. Royan Truck Repair Suzuki is there in 4th and certainly has not given up hope. He needs to take as many points as he can if he wants to maintain that very slender championship lead over Callum Spriggs as they come down the Ipone straight for the penultimate time. It is Braden Elliott looking to try and get up the inside of Kyle Buckley. Not quite close enough, but they're all desperately trying now to try and peg back our race leader, Michael Blair, who's got a pretty handy lead by Supersport standards.
Doing a fantastic job out in front is the Finson Motorsport Blair Build Campbelltown Building Supplies entry of Our race leader doing a great job, Michael Blair. He's held off a lot of pressure since he assumed the race lead, I guess you could say. Callum Spriggs a little bit circumspect back there in second place, has not really pushed the limits or the envelope. He knows that there's still 2 more 9-lap races to go. These Dunlop controlled tyres, whilst they've been sensational throughout 2015, certainly need to be looked after, because 27 laps here at Winton is a true testament to, I guess, testing the limits of adhesion.
Well, Michael Blair was 0.3 of a second faster on that last lap than Callum Spriggs. He's got the gap between himself and his championship rival out to about 0.6 of a second now as they start this last lap. They're about halfway round it now. I don't think Kyle Buckley can get onto the back of Callum Spriggs, but the big challenge is, can Braden Elliott get himself up onto the podium in third?
Well, Buckley's not going to die trying, I guess you could say. He's getting it sideways on the entrance into the Kawasaki S's. He's made up a mile of room there. He's a realistic challenge if he gets the drive down Iphone to Callum Spriggs, but it's all about Michael Blair as he heads through turn number 10 on his way down to the final 2 at the end of Dunlop Straight. It looks like he's going to take an emphatic victory.
Yeah, he's looking very comfortable on the bike now. He's had a pretty good season. He's done duty in the Asian Road Racing Championships, probably along with Callum Spriggs the most bike fit rider out there at the moment. 2 more corners to go. They're through the first one, through the second. Drive hard out onto the Swann Insurance Straight to complete this final lap.
Michael Blair it is that takes victory ahead of Callum Spriggs, and Kyle Buckley doing a fantastic job to hold off the efforts of Braden Elliott. Brad Swallow ended up in 5th, getting the upper hand over Paul Young. Troy Gunther 7th, Luke Mitchell, Justin DiGiandomenico and Cambridge Oliver round up the top 10.
Well, great ride too from Jay Precipio. His teammate Callum Alderson right on his tail. Brendan Demery, Kieran Marr, Rowan Smith and Patrick Lee unfortunately did not finish.
Yeah, thanks for that. That was a real tough race. I got mid-race and then ran out of grip in the rear, and that's when I got past Braden, and then just trying to chase down these guys at the front. They're reeling off laps about the same as what I can do, so it was just, a bit too difficult, but ended up on the back of them at the end, so, try a few things and see where we end up in the next one.
Not too bad of a start to start there, and I made a pass early on and thought I was going to stay in front for a bit, and then Michael did a pretty good pass to me into the S section there, and then I was trying to tag on the back of him and hopefully I could get him back, but he just got stronger and stronger towards the end. But to see what we can do in the next one, and hopefully we can get some more podiums, if not wins.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. We made a few changes from yesterday, and they worked heaps. So was able to do sit in the consistent 5s, which was a really good pace for me, and could make a few passes at the start and be able to clear out and get a win, which is really happy.
Well, with the first one down, there's 2 more to go. Will Michael Blair make it 2 in a row? Join us on the other side of this break. The YRD Supersports continue. Welcome back to our continued coverage of the Australasian Superbike Championship. This is round 6 at Winton Motor Raceway, and we're about set for race number 2 of 3 in the YRD Supersport category. It was all about Michael Blair and his domination, especially in the second half of the race. Phil, will he be able to make it 2 from 2?
Well, he's coming in with a very big amount of confidence behind him after that excellent performance yesterday and the good performance this morning. But Callum Spriggs will start from pole position. Kyle Buckley, Braden Elliott and Michael Blair on the front row of the grid. And looking back there on the grid too, looks like there's a couple of vacant grid positions.
Yes, some of the riders succumbing to injuries and mechanical dramas. Of course, Jay Precipio falling off yesterday. He's absent on the grid at the moment as we take a look at the start on the flip and flow. Brad Swallow, Kawasaki entry. Red lights out, away we go again. Braden Elliott doing a fantastic fantastic job.
Oh, is there a dragway entombment? Because if there is, he's obviously been spending a fair amount of time there. But Callum Spriggs just shuts the door well and truly in his face. It looks like, did he have a problem there or something? He was looking down, shaking his head like there was some sort of problem with the bike, but he's still leading. So whatever it is, he's probably going to hope that that problem persists for the rest of the race.
So it's Callum Spriggs currently leading Braden Elliott. Right behind him is Michael Blair. Fourth place is Kyle Buckley doing a fantastic job as I think that's Paul Young has made a good start as well.
Yeah, round through the long left-handed sweeper for the first time. It is still Callum Spriggs leading from the Suzuki GSXR mounted Braden Elliott down the inside. Well, he's been looking at Wayne Maxwell in the Superbike class with a move like that into the start of the S's. He realises, though, that the Suzuki's got a good chassis, and if he can get through here into the lead, he may be able to put out a bike length or two on the dueling Yamahas. Then it's the next man through after the Yamahas is Kyle Buckley with Troy Gunther right on his tail on board the Kawasaki ZX6.
And Brad Swallow right behind him. We're on board the tap-out Kawasaki entry, currently in 6th place at the end of the Iphone Straight through the left-hander. Turn number 10, the long drive down Dunlop Straight into turns 11 and 12, and it's all Braden Elliott at the moment on the Hankook Tyre Suzuki, ahead of the Yamaha-mounted Callum Spriggs, and race 1 winner, of course, being Michael Blair in 3rd place.
Yeah, good to see our championship winner in the 300 Ninja class last year, Braden Elliott, having another good ride here on board the Supersport machine as he continues to adapt to the bigger, heavier machine after spending many, many years on the 250 and 300 production machines and having a good weekend here at Winton.
Up over the top of the Berwick Leathers Straight, down into DID Chains, on board with Justin DiGiandomenico, the Stafford Motorcycles Yamaha mounted entry.
Yeah, good to see Justin back in the championship. Hasn't been a regular campaigner over the last couple of years, but when he comes back, he always puts in a good ride and certainly loves this Winton Motor Raceway circuit. As Braden Elliott's doing a pretty good job at the moment. Look at him, and he's pulled out, 3 or 4 bike lengths on the last lap or so, Lance, as he tries to make a little bit of a buffer between himself and his championship rivals as they go into the start of the S's, because as we came into this round, there was only 6 points in the championship. That would have closed down after that first race performance.
All of the riders streaming through the first of the left-handers in the Kawasaki S's, and now on the exit of that final turn. Let's take a replay now of the start down the Swann Insurance main straight and into turn number 1. We mentioned Braden Elliott getting a good run, but round the outside, Callum Spriggs, he asserted his authority in no uncertain terms in the early stages, and Michael Blair came along. All he could do was watch in 3rd place.
I don't know what Callum was shaking his head for. That was a perfect line that he got down through the left-hander and the right-hander to start off the lap here at Winton Motor Raceway, but unfortunately at the moment he's having to play second fiddle to the man on board bike number 7. See how squirrely and sideways he gets the bike on the start of the S's there, but Callum Spriggs, that classic style, just tilting the head over, getting the Yamaha to tip into the corner as he makes his way round past the tree. One more corner to go before they blast out onto the Iphone Straight.
And a trio of Kawasaki's battling it out for 4th, 5th and 6th placing at the moment, doing a great job as they head down. Brad Swallow on board with him on the tap-out entry at the end of the Iphone Straight. Look how much ground he makes up on the rider in front of him.
Yeah, it's interesting talking to the riders that all of the bikes that seem to be successful in this championship in 2015 have all got different attributes. Of course, the Suzuki has got great mid-range power and, of course, a great chassis. The Yamaha is so very nimble. It's a bike now that is probably 6 or 7 years old and shows you how far ahead of its time it was when it was first released back in the late 2000s. But look at the power of the Kawasaki's. They're certainly very fast in a straight line, but they also get great drive out of the corners, and if you can get that chassis set up, they're very good at carrying mid-corner speed as well.
Well, it is the Suzuki, the Hankook Tyre Suzuki of Braden Elliott that leads Callum Spriggs on board the YRD Yamaha. Right behind him is another Yamaha. It is the Blair build Yamaha of Michael Blair, doing a great job as he heads the field through turn number 5, the fast left-hand sweeper known as Race Tech Suspension. Then a trio of Kawasaki's doing a great job on board the SA Kawasaki BC Performance entry is Kyle Buckley. Right behind him, Troy Gunther, and Brad Swallow on the tap-out entry rounds up the top 6.
Yeah, Brad Swallow's been getting better and better on this Supersport bike all year. He's had some really good, strong rides at most of the rounds of the championship so far, and he's having a real whale of a time here in race number 2 as this now lead bike battle of 6 riders make their way down the Iphone Straight and into the start of the Dunlop Straight that leads down towards the end of a lap here at Winton. This is where you can slipstream and put a good move on, as we've seen in the Superbike class. Oh, that's Callum Spriggs getting very deep on the brakes. Can he hold the line? Yes, he does. He's back into the lead. Callum Spriggs on board bike number 3.
A gigantic effort there from Callum Spriggs to hold off the efforts of Braden Elliott, who's now relegated into second place and into the clutches of our first race winner here at Winton Motor Raceway in these 3 races for the YRD Supersports, and that, of course, is Michael Blair.
Well, Callum Spriggs set the fastest lap of the race so far on the 5th lap. That's why he's managed to make his way into the lead. And he's just starting to eke out a bike length or 2 over Braden Elliott at the moment as they make their way down towards turn 3 and 4, go through Bell Helmet's turn 4 now and drive hard down towards the very, very long and bumpy Race Tech corner.
Approximately half race distance, and the Kawasaki mounted tap-out entry of Brad Swallow, currently in 6th place, gives you a graphic idea of the drive required through Race Tech suspension. Flip it over to the right, hard on the brakes, inside or outside line, varying lines from different riders on different bikes as they enter the Kawasaki S's.
Well, we just said that Callum Spriggs has set the fastest lap of the race on lap number 4 as they start this 5th lap. Well, as soon as he went across the line, Michael Blair actually just pipped him by a couple of tenths of a couple of hundredths of a second, Lance, to take out that fastest lap of the race so far, and looks to be the man on a move on board bike number 78.
The front 4 runners here have squashed up a little bit. They're a little bit closer in contention, slightly breaking away from 5th and 6th place. Here comes Michael Blair up the inside of the Hankook Tyres Suzuki of Braden Elliott in turn number 11. Out of turn 12, maintains his racing pace and the drive that's needed down the Swann Insurance main straight.
Well, as they come round to complete that 5th lap, Michael Blair, fastest lap of the race, goes a little bit faster than what he did in the last lap. Look at Kyle Buckley. He's also managed to find his way past the Royan Truck Repairs machine of Braden Elliott as well. And if Braden Elliott doesn't get a bit of a wriggle on, Troy Gunther's going to be nibbling on his tail as well.
Here is a replay now as we can see that passing manoeuvre up the inside. Callum Spriggs doing a great job to take over the running of the race. And then a lap or 2 later, and it was the 78 of Michael Blair in the same spot doing the same thing to the same rider.
You could see how bumpy it was and how hard the suspension had to work, so makes those out-braking manoeuvres even more impressive as they make their way down the straight. Kyle Buckley went past as well on the SA Motorcycles BC Performance Kawasaki, and Braden Elliott all of a sudden went from 1st back to 4th in the place of a lap and a half.
Yeah, he's been beaten up in no uncertain terms. It looks like he's got a little bit of difficulty in being able to pull that bike up and steer it correctly or accurately through the corners. A good description there as he came down the back straight, the Dunlop back straight there. The bike was very, very squirrely under brakes.
Well, Michael Blair, fastest lap of the race on lap number 6. He's just getting faster and faster as they start this 7th lap now. Look at the gap between Troy Gunther and Brad Swallow. He's managed to pull out a couple of bike lengths there as well, as this battle at the front is getting closer and closer, with Michael Blair closing in now on Callum Spriggs.
Callum Spriggs has got a lot of pressure being placed on him now by the fast, hard-charging Michael Blair in 2nd place. Remembering, these 2 riders have not only experienced doing battles here on home soil in Australia, but also overseas in the Asian Championship. That experience is certainly coming to the fore here at Winton Motor Raceway.
Yeah, both of them just back from the final race of that championship at Qatar in the United Arab Emirates. And look at the style of Callum Spriggs compared to the style of Michael Blair. 2 contrasting styles, same motorcycle, and they're going about the same lap pace as they make their way down towards the end of IPO. Now late and deep on the brakes. Spriggs, you can see him get on the throttle as hard as he can, get the bike upright and try and drive down towards these final 2 corners now. But Michael Blair is going to make a lunge on the brakes. He has a bit of a look up the inside, manages to just get through. That move started very late and from a fair way back.
That could well be the race-winning manoeuvre on lap number 7. So there is still 2 more laps to go. This one they're about to start and the final lap. Michael Blair getting pressured in no uncertain terms from Callum Spriggs in 2nd.
Well, man under pressure as well is also Kyle Buckley, because he's starting to get away from the clutches of our former championship leader. I think he will have lost the championship lead now if this result continues the way it is. And Kyle Buckley is desperately trying to get onto the back of our leading duo. As we see some excellent slow motion footage there, you can see how hard the suspension has to work around this very technical and bumpy Winton Motor Raceway.
Not only the suspension, but also the eyes and the angles of the heads. Look at the way they're looking so far in front of them. They've already made the commitment to go through the corner and lining up and preparing for the next part of the circuit.
Yeah, you can also see that heat haze is going to be giving those Dunlop control tyres a serious amount of workout, well, along with the pressure being applied by these riders that are all desperate to try and set their fastest lap times. Out onto the Swann Insurance straight now to get the last lap board comes Michael Blair, our race leader. Callum Spriggs not close enough to get the slipstream advantage. Kyle Buckley still sitting there in third, and Braden Elliott in fourth place. Then it's the next man through is Troy Gunther on board bike number 65.
Braden Elliott well and truly beaten up in the last section of this race and has to settle back there for fourth placing. But it's all about Michael Blair. He did this in race number 1. Will he be able to maintain that momentum that he's got in the last half of this lap as he's being pressured all the way home from Callum Spriggs in second?
Well, Blair had actually managed to pull out a couple of tenths of a second at the start of this lap, but whatever lead he had, Callum Spriggs has well and truly closed up now. There is literally nothing between them as they start the S's for the final time. There are a couple of overtaking points now that Callum Spriggs can have a big lunge at Michael Blair. He just needs to get close enough to try and shoehorn the all-site concrete cutting Yamaha up the inside.
Don't discount third place either. Kyle Buckley on board that SA Kawasaki BC Performance entry. He's trying hard. As I've said that, I've put the Murray Walker mockers on him. He's gone too deep in turn number 10 and is unable to go on with it. He'll have to settle for third. He'll be lucky to get away with that with Braden Elliott being so close.
Yeah, Braden Elliott will be right on his tail now. I think there's still a couple of bike lengths, but Michael Blair looks headed for another certain victory as he makes his way out onto the Swann Insurance straight. It is 2 from 2 for Michael Blair on board 78. Callum Spriggs takes second place, Buckley in third, and Braden Elliott in fourth.
Troy Gunther doing a great job to finish in fifth place as well. Another Kawasaki behind him. The battles still continue across the checkers. Brad Swallow it was that finished in sixth. Cambridge Oliver taking home seventh place on his Yamaha. Luke Mitchell, a great effort to get up into eighth. Paul Young, not so young anymore, he finished in ninth.
Justin Di Giandomenico rounded out the top 10 with Brandon Demery, Callum Alderson, Kieran Marr, Patrick Lee and Rowan Smith rounding out the field.
Yeah, that race was pretty difficult. I tried a new starting technique and it obviously didn't work for me. I went to the back of the front row, so I think in the next one, go back to my old way, and we've got a few things to try and get a bit more grip, and yeah, should be good.
Michael, got me in the second last turn there, and he did a good braking move. I felt like I was braking a little bit too early, and then but see what we can do in the next one. But congrats to him.
Yeah, definitely. No, I didn't make it easy for myself. Sitting in third for most of the race there, so I had to make a few pretty hard moves, but pulled them off and really stoked for the win.
18 laps gone, 9 laps to go in this, the penultimate round of the YRD Supersports. Only 2 points separate the two top contenders. Join us on the other side of this break to see who it is that will lead the championship going into Sydney Motorsport Park. Glad you could continue to keep company with us here. This is the Australasian Superbike Championship of 2015. We're at Winton Motor Raceway for round number 6, and this is the last race on today's program for the YRD Supersports. 9 laps to see who it is that will lead the field going into the last round at Sydney Motorsport Park come December. Callum Spriggs starts on pole with Kyle Buckley, Braden Elliott and Michael Blair on the front row. Gunther, Principio, Oliver and Young on row 2. Luke Mitchell and Brad Swallow on the inside of row 3, along with Justin Di Giandomenico, Brandon Demery. And on the fourth and final row we have Smith, Mayer, Lee and Alderson.
Well, as we jump on board now with Justin Di Giandomenico, ready for a start. Final race, round 6 of the 2015 YRD Supersport Championship. Lights are on, we're away. Another good start from Braden Elliott on board the Hankook Tyre Suzuki. He blasts down towards turn 1, should take the lead. Callum Spriggs, can he get back around the outside? No. Braden Elliott leads them down through turn 1 and 2 for the first time. Came into this round with a 6-point championship lead. Currently, he's 2 points behind Callum Spriggs, the man that's right on his tail.
Michael Blair in third place, Kyle Buckley in fourth, and a gaggle of riders behind them all want to get up there and join the party at the front of the pack.
Looks like Cambridge Oliver's got a fantastic start on board bike number 9, Lance. He is just behind Kyle Buckley, who's currently sitting there in fourth place on board the blue Yamaha. There he is, right on the back of Troy Gunther's number 65 machine.
There is confirmation of the points at the moment. 2 points between Spriggs and Elliott, and not that far behind a gaggle of riders that are still key contenders. Somebody getting out of shape there, under brakes and under acceleration, coming into the first right-hander of the Kawasaki S's. No harm, no foul. Everybody's still on the black stuff.
Well, look, would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in the Hankook Tyre Suzuki pit with Sean Giles giving his young charge some good instructions and some good advice heading into this final race of this penultimate round of this championship, as we are on board now with Brad Swallow down the back straight. You can see the leader starting to stream out along that straight, and the leader at the moment is Braden Elliott on board bike number 7. But look at Cambridge Oliver. This is the best race of the weekend for the young man on board bike number 9.
He's doing a great job mid-pack there as they head out of the 12th and final turn. Down the main straight comes our race leader Braden Elliott, with plenty of pressure being applied behind him by 3 other riders, the first of those being Callum Spriggs. Then we've got Michael Blair, Kyle Buckley, not that far behind him, Troy Gunther. Then the number 9 of Cambridge Oliver doing a great job to hold off the challenges of Brad Swallow behind him.
Yeah, very entertaining battle there between Luke Mitchell on board bike number 6 and the veteran of the class, Paul Young, on board bike number 96 as well, as our race leader now gets down towards the long left-hander. This is where the technical part of this circuit starts, and look at, he's actually been able to pull out a couple of bike lengths lead through those first couple of corners of this second lap, Lance.
Very easy to lose momentum through there, but it's also a great game changer if you're able to maintain momentum and gain a few bike lengths lead there, as our race leader on the Hankook Tyre Suzuki, Braden Elliott, managed to do that time around.
Well, the real game changer here could be Kyle Buckley sitting there in fourth place, because he's not in championship contention for one of our top 3 positions, but the top 3 in this race are actually the top 3 in the championship, with Callum Spriggs holding a 2-point lead coming into this final race.
Over Braden Elliott, who's doing a fantastic job to lead at this stage. Down the end of Dunlop, into turn number 10 and then on to 11 as they head out of here onto the main straight, the Swann Insurance main straight. Currently first place, Suzuki mounted, Hankook Tyres, Braden Elliott.
Well, back to a replay at the start now, and you can see that launch off the line. He's done that every race so far this weekend, has Braden Elliott. He's just launched the Suzuki off the line and was unchallenged as they made their way down in towards turn 1. Even the fast-starting Callum Spriggs, who rode around the outside of him in race number 2, wasn't in a position to try and challenge.
Also, Cambridge Oliver doing a great job. Brad Swallow showing us from behind what it's all about up in front of him there, as riders are sweeping left and right, jostling for position in the early stages. A race cannot necessarily be won in the first corner, Phil, but it certainly can be lost.
Yeah, especially if you don't get the good drive. You can lose a lot of positions there at that first corner combination here at Winton Motor Raceway. But down the Iphone straight at the moment, we've got our race leader. Sliding it in, Braden Elliott. That is fantastic stuff on board the Hankook Tyre Suzuki. But look at this battle too. Cambridge Oliver and Brad Swallow, they're going to it. The Yamaha versus the Kawasaki, and 2 young men trying to make an impact on this class.
Brad Swallow tries to use slipstreaming to his advantage, unable to do it as Cambridge Oliver. He covered his lines, he kissed the apex perfectly there in that second last corner. Rides a little bit wide there, but still uses up all of the black stuff. Gets the power down to the ground as they head down the Swann Insurance main straight.
Well, you can see how evenly the bikes are matched as well. Of course, a very controlled formula in this class, very limited modifications. Dunlop control tyres used by everybody. They've had to do 3 races. They could have brought their wild card at their qualifying tyre in at some stage today, but the tyres are starting to look a little bit worn. The bikes are moving around. It's all coming down now to rider ability in this final race.
Kyle Buckley there getting the best as he possibly could out of that SA Kawasaki BC Performance entry as he headed down the back section of the DOD chains and Bell Helmets corners. Look at him, hard charging right up under the rear cowling there of the 78 of Michael Blair in third.
Well, we're on the 4th lap now, and no surprise to look at the CompuTime timing monitor and see that Braden Elliott set the fastest lap of the race on lap number 3, just eking out that very small lead over his championship rival Callum Spriggs on board bike number 3. But this battle continues on in earnest as they make their way down the Iphone Straight. Brad Swallow desperate to try and find a way past, but he's not going to be able to do that because Cambridge Oliver is very deep on the brakes. He's also run a fraction wide. Swallow's got the run out of the corner. He's on the wrong side of the circuit though. He can't dive up the inside. He tries to go around the outside. Oh, he's lucky to stay on the track and he's gone wide.
Wow, I thought it might have been another case of another fairing to be put back together again and repainted by Brad Swallow's team.
Yeah, unfortunately they've had to do a little bit of that this weekend and last weekend as well. But this race certainly very entertaining. We're on the 5th lap now, so we're just over or approaching half race distance as they get halfway around this tour of the 3 kilometre circuit here in northeastern Victoria. Ned Kelly country essentially just up the road. Cambridge Oliver, well, he's got the mask well and truly on and having a red hot dip.
And so too is that man on screen, the Kawasaki mounted tap out entry of Brad Swallow. I can't sing his praises enough. Running the 600 here in the Supersports, also the 1000 in the Formula Oz. As we mentioned before, he'll be joining the Superbikes in 2016, but he's not over with the fun on the Supersports yet.
Yeah, look at this battle at the front now. We've got Braden Elliott that actually currently leads the championship. Braden Elliott and Kyle Buckley in 1st and 4th position. They're actually B graders, Lance. We've got the 2 A graders, of course, of Callum Spriggs and Michael Blair that you'd expect to be going so well. But both of these young men have been so impressive this year. And Braden Elliott has been on the pace since the very first round. He has come so far since where he was at the end of last year. And I think a lot of that goes down to the work that's been done as we see some slow motion footage now of the bike set up for him by Phil Tainton, of course, the Suzuki tuning guru in Victoria, and of course his mentor, the 3 times Australian Superbike champion, Sean Giles.
And look how unbalanced it seems to be on some of those bikes, especially Kyle Buckley, but he seems the rhythm suits him. He likes a bike that runs a little bit loose as opposed to somebody else who likes a tighter bike.
And I think what it is too is that the tyres are starting to get towards the end of their usable life, but the riders just can't slow down, won't slow down. There is only now 3 laps to go in this last race of the round, and is a desperate, what was that? A hand up there from Braden Elliott. I'm not sure what was going on there, but he's back on the pace again, whether he was just waving to a fan in the crowd.
Unbelievable. I've never seen something like that before. He didn't seem to back off at all. It was almost like a la Peter Brock across the top of Mount Panorama.
Well,
arm out the window, waving to the crowd.
Unless there was some sort of intermittent electrical problem that affected him and now it's come back on song. He's not going to wait and find out if there is a problem. He's just got his head down because he's got 3 rampaging riders right behind him that are all desperate to try and get away past. He has to win this race if he wants to lead the championship heading into the last round.
So it's Braden Elliott, Callum Spriggs, then we have Michael Blair, followed by Kyle Buckley. They are the quartet that have dominated this 6th and 2nd last round of the YRD Supersport Championship as part and parcel of the 2015 Swann Insurance Australasian Superbike Championship. As you mentioned, Phil, it certainly looks like it's going to be a thrilling grand final at Sydney Motorsport Park, especially if it finishes like this.
Well, and remember, Kyle Buckley has been on the podium in both of the previous races as Callum Spriggs goes into the lead on lap 7 of lap 9. We've got 3 laps to go and Spriggs has taken the lead. This man led the championship by 2 points coming into this race. Braden Elliott led the championship by 6 coming into this round.
Wow, out of DID chains, down into Bell Helmet's corner, lap 7 of 9, and it's Callum Spriggs that has reassumed the race lead. Will he be able to go on with it, or will Braden Elliott come on strongly on the Hankook tyres Suzuki, heading out of Racetech suspension, down into the Kawasaki S's, up the inside tries Braden Elliott, wise to the manoeuvre as Callum Spriggs, he not only cuts the apex, puts his leg out a little bit wider, through the left-hander in the middle of Kawasaki S's, now into the right-hander, get good drive out of here for the run down Iphone Straight.
Well, don't discount Michael Blair either. He was the fastest man of the race so far on lap number 5, was very close to that lap time on lap number 6, and he's closed right up onto the back now of Braden Elliott Suzuki as they come down towards the final couple of corners on this 7th lap of the 9-lap journey. Kyle Buckley's also in the equation as well, so we've got a Yamaha leading from a Suzuki, another Yamaha in 3rd, a Kawasaki in 4th place, and this, as you said, Lance, the 4 riders that have dominated this penultimate round.
Out of turn 12, down the Swann Insurance Straight, you can see Braden Elliott. He loves to hug the inside line there and put the rider off behind him, and that is, of course, Michael Blair. He's a little bit wiser to the manoeuvre, though. He follows him line of suit down the end of the Swann Insurance Main Straight, through the left-right combination, up over the top of Berwick Leathers Old Straight, and into DID Chains, down the hill, through the right-hander known as bell helmets and lining themselves up for this long left-hander race tech suspension.
Well, as they started this lap, Callum Spriggs had a 0.4 of a second lead. Whatever Braden Elliott has done now has worked because he's close right up onto the back of him. He actually nearly hit the back end of Callum Spriggs' bike. He's down the inside at the start of the S's. He's pulled a Wayne Maxwell manoeuvre. He runs them both wide, and Michael Blair comes back hard as well on his teammate Callum Spriggs.
Callum Spriggs shook his head in disbelief that the audacity of the Hankook Tyres Suzuki rider Braden Elliott. He was all out of shape going into that. He straightened it up. Here's a replay of Elliott going for the run down the Swann Insurance main straight, and Callum Spriggs slipstreamed him, got the better of him up the inside through the left-right combination. Here it is from the front view as they crossed the strike line. That's when Callum Spriggs made his manoeuvre.
Well, it was obviously a very desperate manoeuvre, but how smooth did Callum Spriggs' bike look? The same as Braden Elliott, just gets up the inside there. Unfortunately, they both run a fraction wide, but look how closely Michael Blair came back as they started that run through the S's.
Well, here it is, a replay. You won't see the body language, the helmet language of Callum Spriggs on this view, but certainly he was shaking his head in absolute, utter disbelief.
Well, started the last lap now for our four protagonists. This could be a championship-defining ride for Braden Elliott. If he can take this victory and get the championship lead back going into the final round, it will be a massive boost of confidence. Look at the lead that he's managed to pull out through three corners, the leading three corners of the start of this final lap.
Psychologically, he has the upper hand. Look at the battle for third place. Kyle Buckley has not given up on the Winton Motorsport entry of Michael Blair on board machine number 78 back there in third place. So as they go through the centre section of the Kawasaki S's, it is still Braden Elliott, followed through then by Callum Spriggs, Michael Blair and Kyle Buckley as they head down the Iphone straight for the final time.
Did you see Braden Elliott weaving down the back straight, trying to dislodge any slipstreamers that were trying to get the run off the Hankook Tyres Suzuki? Sean Giles will be having kittens on pit wall now as he makes his way down towards the final corners. He's only got two of them to go, Lance, and I think he's got a lead that's unsustainable. If he can get ahead through this last couple of corners, I don't think Callum Spriggs can come back and challenge.
Braden Elliott, it's all about him and the Hankook Tyres Suzuki. He's going to take a great victory here in the third and final race of the penultimate round and take a slender championship lead to Sydney Motorsport Park. Callum Spriggs in second, Michael Blair third, Kyle Buckley fourth, Troy Gunther a great finish ahead of Brad Swallow in sixth, Oliver Mitchell-Young and Justin Domenico rounds up the top 10.
Well, that could be a championship-defining ride for Braden Elliott. He'll be extremely excited, and let's go down now and hear from our top three after a cracking race.
Yeah, just kind of missed a start in that last one. It was a bit too much to make up, but yeah, just had to play it smart and come across the line, and yeah, really happy with the overall win.
Yeah, that one was an exciting race then, and yeah, we were both riding pretty hard, and yeah, Elliott made his move, and it was an impressive move, and I couldn't quite. Then he put his head down for the last lap, and I was just trying to do the best I could, and I just couldn't keep up there, and I was just having just a few issues. But yeah, it's just looking forward to the next round. Looks like it's going to go down to the wire, so yes, can't wait to it and see who's on top by the end of the year.
Yeah, thank you. It's certainly great to be able to maintain that championship lead, at every round this year. We struggled a little bit this weekend, and I really had to ride as hard as I could in that last one to get it across the line in front. So huge thanks to the team. We got the bike handling great, and I was just really struggling for speed out there this weekend. So it was a good way to finish it off.
Cool, calm and collected under pressure, and that ensures that Braden Elliott goes into the final round at Sydney Motorsport Park 1 point ahead of Callum Spriggs. Phil Harlem, what a thrilling way to finish this second last round.
That was an unbelievable ride in that last race from Braden Elliott, and to go into the championship decided now with a 1 point lead over Callum Spriggs is going to give these two the best opportunity to put on a thrilling final round at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Talking about that, we certainly hope that you can join us trackside in person on the first weekend in December at Sydney Motorsport Park. It is going to be a fantastic weekend, a twilight race meeting. Hope you can join us then. On behalf of Phil Harlem and the entire team here, we'll look forward to your company then.